What if I told you that building the future isn't about making better versions of what we already have? What if it's about creating something completely new? Well, that's the big idea in Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, and in this explainer, we're going to dig into his pretty radical blueprint for innovation.
Right, let's jump straight in with the question Peter Thiel famously asks in interviews. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? Now, this isn't just some clever brain teaser. For him, your answer is the seed of every great new invention. It shows if you can actually think for yourself, way outside the box of what everyone else accepts is true. Thiel believes the future isn't something that just happens. Nope, it's something we have to build. And he's really clear on this. True game-changing progress doesn't come from just copying what already works. It comes from creating something the world has literally never seen before. Okay, so what does creating something new actually mean? Thiel breaks all progress down into two super distinct categories. And getting this distinction, well, it's pretty much the core of his whole book. So, on one hand, you've got horizontal progress. Think of it as going from 1 to n. This is basically globalization. You take something that works in one place, and you just copy it over and over again. But on the other hand, you have vertical progress, and this is the big one, going from 0 to 1. This is all about technology, inventing something brand new. One is about copying, the other is about creation. And for Thiel, that act of creation is the only way we get to a radically better future.
Now, here's where things get really interesting, and honestly, a bit controversial. Thiel argues that competition, the thing we're taught to embrace from day one, is actually a trap. It's a destructive force that holds innovation back. He actually flips Tolstoy's famous line about families on its head to make this incredible point about business. For Thiel, all the truly successful, happy companies are unique. Why? Because they figured out how to solve a problem in a way no one else can, and by doing that, they escape the bloody battlefield of competition. And think about it, right? When you're completely obsessed with what your rivals are doing, you stop thinking for yourself. You start focusing on these tiny little advantages instead of coming up with bold new ideas. The goal shouldn't be to just be a little bit better than the next guy. The goal is to build something so good that there is no next guy.
So, if competition is the enemy and creating a monopoly is the goal, how in the world do you actually build one? Well, Thiel doesn't leave us hanging. He lays out a really clear blueprint for creating a company that can dominate and last. He boils it down to 4 key things. First, you need proprietary technology that isn't just a little better, it's at least 10 times better than anything else out there. Second, you want network effects, where your product gets more and more valuable as more people use it. Think Facebook. Third, economies of scale, meaning your business just gets stronger and more efficient as it gets bigger. And finally, a super powerful brand that basically becomes the definition of the category it's in.
But here's the secret sauce. You don't start by trying to take over the world. No way. You start small, you find a tiny group of people with a very specific problem, and you totally dominate that niche. I mean, look at Amazon. They started with just books. PayPal, they went after power sellers on eBay. You want a small market first, then you expand.
Now, building a monopoly like that isn't just about strategy. It's about having the right mindset. And Thiel argues that our modern culture, well, it's kind of adopted a worldview that makes this kind of long-term, deliberate building almost impossible. I love this line. It's Thiel's direct challenge to this idea that success is all just luck, or chance, or random timing. He says the greatest founders don't just get lucky. They believe, deep down, that the future is something you can actually plan for and shape with intention. He lays out these 4 worldviews, and the big difference is between being definite, having a concrete plan, and indefinite, just kind of hoping for the best. And his critique is that we're living in an age of indefinite optimism. We all hope the future will be better, but we don't really have a specific blueprint for how to get there. So we just diversify our options instead of making one big, bold bet. And that's the whole point. You have to be a definite optimist. You can't just hope for progress. You have to design it. You need a specific vision of a better future and a map for how you're going to get us there. I mean, this is the mindset that built things like the Golden Gate Bridge and sent people to the moon. So how do you take all this and actually put it into practice? Thiel wraps everything up with a final challenge, a sort of checklist of 7 essential questions that every single startup, every founder has to be able to answer. This is it, the final test. Thiel says a great business needs a solid yes for all 7. 1, the engineering question. Can you actually create breakthrough tech? 2, the timing question. Is now the perfect moment to start this thing? 3, the monopoly question.
Are you starting by owning a big piece of a small pie? 4. The people question. Do you have the absolute right team on the bus? 5. Distribution. Do you have a real plan to get your product to people? 6. Durability. Are you going to be defensible and still around in 10 or 20 years? And finally, number 7, the secret question. Have you found a unique opportunity that everybody else is missing?
And that brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? Building the future, going from 0 to 1, it isn't about following some pre-written formula. It's about discovering a secret, a truth that nobody else sees yet. So the real question is, what important truth do you see that nobody else does?